Well, hi, everybody. I'm Tony Revis. Today I'm joined by America's finest women's cross-country runner, four-time national champion Dina Drawson, as we prepare for the girls to take off on this national championship race. There they go, the top 32 girls in the nation from 4 different regions, Dina. We got the West, the Midwest, the South, and the Northeast. You know, you've been on Olympic teams now, your world championship teams, and yet when you were at Agora Hills High School in California, 4 times you ran the Foot Locker National Championship. You finished 6th in 1990. You know what these girls are feeling like. What is going through their hearts and their minds?
For me, Tony, the Foot Locker Nationals still remain a highlight of my career. Right now, they've been in Orlando for 2 days. They've formed friendships with their greatest rivals and realized that there's more to sport than just the competition. And right now, they've got their game faces on, and they're all vying for that national championship position.
Here's a look at our Northeast squad, led by Natasha Redder out of Lexington, Massachusetts, the Northeast champion. That race was conducted in Van Cortlandt Park, New York. Here's a look at the Western team. Alicia Craig, Anita Saraki, and Sarah Bay, 3 of the real favorites in the competition. And there's some people that believe that the Western team is the dominant team in the girls' race. There's advantages to having run the Western Regional and disadvantages. What are those?
I think one of the biggest disadvantages is that they have to travel the farthest out of any of the other regions. The weather was warm in Southern California during their regionals at Mount Sac, and so they are used to the warmer conditions out here today.
Penny Splickle in the lead from North Dakota, the Midwest champion. North Dakota, yeah, that's a Midwestern state. And she has gone out fast, but that's how she won the Midwestern Regional, from the front. Now we'll look at our team from the South. 4 girls from Texas, but led by the Florida State champion, Krista Benton from St. Petersburg. And the Midwest qualifiers, whose champion Penny Splickle is from Dickinson, North Dakota. Now, so many of these athletes have dominated competitions throughout the year that they have to adjust to the level of competition here at Foot Locker Nationals.
Back home, I'm used to being the front runner always, so that's kind of how I've always been. I'm going to go in there just mainly focusing on myself, but knowing that there's going to be other people around me, and then, you know, just take off and see what happens with going with the leaders and just running my best race.
Dina, the Oak Trail Golf Course, 5,000-meter course. How is it for these athletes? Stiff? Easy?
This course is much flatter than we saw at the 4 regional races, but the sharp turns, rolling hills, it all really slows things down. The athletes just can't get into a rhythm when they're out there. They're essentially running the front 9 holes of the Oak Trails golf course, so there aren't many straightaways where they can really pick things up and make any moves. Add in the hot conditions here in Orlando today, and it's something that majority of these runners just aren't used to this time of year.
So it's Midwest champion Penny Splickle leading them out with a pack of 4 close on her heels. We'll pick it up when we return. Welcome back to New Balance Elite Racing. The 2000 Foot Locker Cross Country Championships, Penny Splickle, the Midwest Regional champion, in front. And just to let you know that the second number on the bib of these athletes represents the place they finished in their regional championship. So Penny Splickle, number 31, she was the champion of the Midwest as the entire field goes by.
And look there, number 43, Sarah Bay, one of the favorites from the West, along with teammates Alicia Craig and Anita Saraki. They're looking to defend their title from last year, and she is taking a big risk.
Well, she's dead last at this point, but yet she's been sort of notorious in that fashion. But we were talking earlier that we know that she likes to come from behind, but in a field of national caliber, it's difficult to win from all the way in the back. There's too much strength up front.
When you have a field this condensed, you can't be that cautious going into a championship like this.
Well, Splickle's approaching the 1-mile mark. 5:32 was the split last year. They're 11 seconds under that this year, and I think the conditions are warmer and more humid, so it is a faster pace, definitely.
There are 6 repeat finalists from last year, and one of the most decorated athletes was Sarah Bay, who we recently saw in last place.
I'm definitely someone that starts out slower in a race. I've been probably last both years I've run here at the first mile, but I'm usually able to move up. I think one thing that's to my disadvantage is there's no hills, and I'm usually able to catch a lot more people on the hills, so I'll definitely have to start faster than I'm used to starting. But I think that a lot of times, like with the weather and the humidity and heat, a lot of people get tired early on in the race, and that's to my advantage, and I'm able to keep going and moving up when they've started out too fast.
Very difficult for athletes to hold themselves back at competitions at this level. But now moving up on our leader, Penny Splickle, 3 members of that Western region, including its champion on the right of the screen from Gillette, Wyoming, number 41, Alicia Craig. Laura Ziegel, number 44 from Utah, 4th in the West Regional, is always there. And behind her, number 42, 2nd in the West Regional, and the Division I California State Champion, 4th last year, Anita Saraki.
Physically, I feel a lot stronger than I did last year. I'm ready to go run. Psychologically, I have to kind of zone myself out so I don't get burdened with the pressure of like, everyone's like, yeah, so you're one of the favorites, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, I guess. I don't know. So it's like trying to control the nerves.
Now the West Region has taken over the top 3 spots. Splickle beginning to fall back as Natasha Redder, the Northeast champion out of Lexington, Mass, has taken up the ranks of 4th place. 43, there's Sarah Bay moving up like halfway through the field, so far so good for her. The athletes from the Midwest are in the red. Navy blue are the West, green the Northeast, and cobalt blue, fashionably Southern.
So we see Alicia Craig and Anita Saraki dominating right now, pushing the pace, and the field is starting to string out. They're just approaching the 2-mile mark.
And the conditions you can sort of see are wearing these girls down fairly early in the race. Approaching 11 minutes at the 2 miles. Saraki and Craig hit it. Ziegel just behind an 11:02. That's a 5:41 second mile, 21 seconds slower than the initial mile. Not that bad a fall off. The running shoulder to shoulder, not one right behind the other. What's that tell you?
They both want this championship. Alicia Craig is undefeated this season. She's the 2-time regional champion, and she's the top returning finisher from 1999.
Last year, kind of going into the race, it was only my 2nd biggest competition, like next to the regionals, so I didn't know what to expect from the other girls, and I hadn't really ran against too many people, so I just wanted to go out there and run hard and kind of see where I compared to everyone else. But this year I kind of have a little more experience, so I know how everyone kind of races, and it should be great. It should be a lot of fun.
The West, 1, 2, 3, and now 4. Sarah Bay moves all the way up into 4th place. Natasha Redder just passing by. So 5 out of the top 7 from that Western region. And the question with the Western region was they had a very hot weather race just last week, then had to fly across country. The other 3 regionals were 2 weeks ago. There was time to rest. But Sarah Bay is the story here. She's moving on the shoulder now of the Utah 5A champion, Laura Ziegel, herself 12th in the final as a sophomore last year. But Bay goes by, so now it's Saraki, Craig, and Bay. Today's focus on the New Balance in action, brought to you by New Balance. Achieve New Balance. The Western Regional at Mount Sac, 1st place, Alicia Craig. 2nd year in a row. 2nd place, Anita Saraki, the course record holder. 3rd place, the 98 Western Regional champion, Sarah Bay. Back at it now in the finals and a feature on this month's New Balance in action. They've raced each other many times, and now it's down to just Saraki, chased by Bay. They've got about 1,000 meters to go. We'll have the finish when we return. Welcome back to New Balance Elite Racing. The 2000 Foot Locker Cross Country Championships with Anita Saraki making her move for the tape. She's the California Division I State Cross Country Champion, and she's followed by the Division II State Cross Country Champion and 4 times the champion in that division, Sarah Bay. Who's better in a sprint?
Gosh, great California representation here. Here comes Anita Saraki. She's really turning it on. She sees the finish line in sight. Sarah Bay on the outside looked like she's gonna come up on her shoulder. Here comes Sarah Bay, Anita Saraki. Anita's pushing. You could really tell the strain in her.
And Bay now leaning all the way, is coming up on her shoulder. Now they're even. Bay was 10th as a freshman, then 3rd as a sophomore. Didn't qualify last year. Heading for redemption in 2000. And now it's over. Saraki capitulates. Bay hits the tape in a new course record. It couldn't have been a better script for Sarah Bay. Last just before the mile, from last to first. What a story for Sarah Bay, and a great race by Anita Saraki.
Sarah Bay shatters the course record by 10 seconds, and Anita's just 3 seconds behind her.
Laura Ziegel in 3rd. Natasha Redder in 4th. Kaylin Totebush from the Midwest in 5th.
freshman Liza Prosciutto.
Ninth grader Liza Prosciutto in 6th place. What a spectacular performance for her. There's Krista Bent, number 21, our regional champion from the South. 31 early leader, Penny Splickle. The Bay family ecstatic. And it looks like she has plenty left. She looks composed, doesn't she? Not everyone is so composed. These kids run themselves right into the ground.
And Alicia Craig, one of the pre-race favorites, getting 20th place. The heat is obviously affecting these girls as they're crossing the finish line.
Boy, you take a quick scan of the top results in the West. 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7 for 19 points. And that's without the original champ delivering. Somebody break up the West. Here's that stretch run again.
Sarah Bay, all but diving those last few meters, just timed this race perfectly.
But I knew that if I stay conservative, the ones who went out harder, it'll hurt them like later. So I was last for so long. I just remember that my strength comes from Christ, not from me. I just can't believe it.
Well, what were you telling yourself as you were making your way up through the crowd, knowing that Alicia and Anita are up there who are just real stars?
I was like, I feel so good. What's going on? I think I was slow. I kept waiting for them to just like surge and take off and leave me. But I just hung tough. I tried to just stay right in there. I knew I had a kick, so I'm just so excited.
There's a lot of experience out there in these top finishers. Kaylin Totebush, 10th last year, is rounding out the 5th position here today.
Course record for Sarah Bay in a come-from-behind performance, which we didn't think was possible at the beginning of the race. How do you think this will affect how the boys run?
It is warm conditions out here today, Tony. It's humid, it's hot. We have our regional winners and pre-race favorites, Dathan Ritzenhein and Alan Webb, who dominated their regional races and course records themselves in very cold conditions, so that will be a factor out here today in their performances.
Well, how about Ryan Hall? He's the other one of the big three, as they've called them. He was one of the certain favorites in the West, but faded a little bit in the end. How do you think he'll run out there today? He used to hilly courses and maybe warmer conditions.
His self-disappointment in the regional races was due to heat exhaustion, Tony, and it's going to be a factor out here today. He trains at 7,000 feet in Big Bear Lake, California, and it is cooler conditions than typical California, so it may be a factor out here today, the heat for him as well.
Do you think that there's a chance for a surprise to come through and knock someone of those top three out?
That's what these races are all about, so we're going to see how it unfolds today and see how these kids perform.
Well, they're heading to the starting line right now. The West dominated the girls' race. We'll see if the boys can back it up.
Ready at the start. On your mark. Spectacular young midsman.
And the boys are off. 32 are the best in the country.
Talented field out there, Tony. The first mile is predicted at 4:25, which is a blistering pace on a hot day like today.
People think it could be the fastest boys cross-country race ever in the 22-year history. We'll get them started. Well, they're already started. We'll have more of it when we return. Welcome back to New Balance Elite Racing, the 2000 Foot Locker Cross Country Championships from Walt Disney World Resorts, Lake Buena Vista, Florida. That's number 76, Wesley Keating from Pharr, Texas, 6th in the Southern Regional, taking the early lead. A little bit surprising, since we expected a very strong early pace from our three big-name favorites. A little surprising out there, Dina?
Absolutely. I think the pace looks a little conservative from what we were expecting out here. I think most of the athletes were expecting Dathan Ritzenhein, Alan Webb.
Maybe Ryan Hall to take that lead. Here's a look at our Southern team. Alan Webb from Reston, Virginia, right at 4 minutes a mile. People are anticipating this summer he'll go under. Also the very strong Western team, led by numbers 1st and 3rd, Seth Watkins, David Vidal from Flathead High School, the same team from Kalispell, Montana, but that's a very cold training area this time of year. I'm not sure these conditions augur well for guys from Montana, but they could also have all that confidence coming from last weekend's Great West Regional race. Here's a look at our Northeast team. They're led by Seton McAndrews out of Queensbury, New York, running at Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx to win his division. That's a tough course on a tough day as well. Now we have the Midwest, led by Dathan Ritzenheim, Rockford, Michigan. He's the defending national champion. He's undefeated in cross country since finishing 8th as a sophomore here at the National Championships. And he's looking to become only the second man to do the double at the National Championships after Abdi Mohammed of Boston, who turned the double in 96 and 97. There's Webb getting some dust in the face, and these guys are hauling. It's finally gotten to the point where Dathan Ritzenheim, our favorite, has gone to the front, and he's pushing. Not a subtle move.
Not at all, Tony. With kickers like Alan Webb, he cannot afford to let it come down to a kick at the end of the race. He's pushing in the beginning here just before the mile mark.
Boom, 4:47. Here we are thinking a sub 4:30. That's almost 30 seconds slower, and he has really thrown down the gauntlet, and Webb had better start pushing himself if he wants to answer this charge. I was reading an article in Harper's Magazine about big-time poker, and there's certain hands you get when all of a sudden it's chips all in. Well, this is chips all in by Dathan Ritzenheim. This kid's going from here to the line.
He is really pressing out there, and Alan Webb hanging on strong, not sitting, hanging.
He's like a Florida hanging Chad at this point. He ain't dimpled, he's hanging. Right now, it's down to 2 guys.
And these 2 boys have had quite a senior year. They're both undefeated. They both, in their regional races, broke the course record. So it's just a battle of strengths out here today. Dathan Ritzenheim has a strong base leading into the race, and Alan Webb has the speed.
They've never raced one another, but they certainly know about one another. There's Ryan Hall moving up into 4th place. He's more of a mile type along with Webb, so he's got to get up there if he hopes to give Ritzenheim any sort of run for the money. But Dathan Ritzenheim, undefeated over the last 2 years and pared down to nothing but gristle and bone. Time for this month's Coca Close, brought to you by Coca-Cola Classic. Enjoy. We talk to our 2 screaming favorites.
I feel great right now. I bumped up my mileage this summer, and my speed workouts have been a lot faster. So I'm definitely really excited for tomorrow's race. I haven't felt this good ever yet, so.
Well, that's scary. Now, when you talk about bumping your mileage, that's such a big part of what, I mean, there's some kids doing 40 and 50 a week, and then other kids are doing, you know, college level workouts, and that makes a huge difference, especially at this age. So when you say you bumped your mileage up, what were you doing and what are you doing now?
I bumped from last summer, or 2 summers ago, I was at about 70 miles a week, and now I've bumped it up to, I was running 90 to 95 this summer. So I bumped it up a lot, and then I kept it over the season. I kept it about 15 miles a week higher, and I was probably around 65 miles a week.
For Alan Webb in 2nd place, it's all about contact, knowing that if he stays close, it's his race at the end. And after last year's disappointment at the finals, he too is fully prepared.
Physically, I'm in 10 times better shape. I built up a huge base over the summer compared to last year. I'm ready for anything right now. I think my training, my coach has worked with me with every aspect that any possibility that could come up at this meet, and we've worked on it and trained for it and look forward to this meet, and I'm excited about putting it all together tomorrow.
That's this month's Coke Up Close. Now 2 miles down from a 4:47 opening mile, Ritzenheim just threw in, blistered a 4:37 second.
Both of these men are catering to their strengths. Ritzenheim is really trying to lose Webb, and Webb trying to hang on. But it looks like Ritzenheim is pulling away slightly.
We'll see if Webb can close it up right after this. The final stages of the 2000 Foot Locker Cross Country Championships from Walt Disney World Resort, the only competitive high school championship in any sport. It's defending champion Dathan Ritzenheim of Rockford, Michigan, driving toward a 2nd title, having put a serious gap on Virginia's Alan Webb. Any chance that Webb can get it back, Dina?
Dathan shows no signs of slowing down, and that could be the 30 extra miles a week that he does compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, he is just doing so much work, like we said earlier, college-level work, and it's just translating into pure power. He has the course record, 14 minutes and 29 seconds, which he ran last year. He passes 3 miles in 14:05. He's slightly off record pace, it seems, but he is still driving for as fast a time as he can muster. That's what this kid is. He's very charismatic in the way he runs. He reminds me of Alberto Salazar and Steve Prefontaine in that sense. I mean, this guy is all out, as fast as I can go every time out of the box.
He's nearing the finish line, and he's really looking strong, giving it every ounce of energy he can possibly muster to break this record again.
Ritzenheim.
Just missing the record.
14:35. But look at the gap in second place.
Oh, and he is really just giving it all he can.
Oh boy, just utter pain and anguish. Except for the fact that he won the national crown.
He looked so composed throughout the race, I'm surprised to see him stumbling through the chute.
Alan Webb in second, 20 seconds back. Ryan Hall in third. The big three living up to all predictions. And in fourth, Charlie Million from Blue Point, New York. Eric Heinonen, Seth Pilkington. That's Chandler Goodwin. And right behind him is Timothy Moore out of Novi, Michigan.
We didn't see a course record out here today, Tony, but the conditions are a lot hotter than last year, where we saw 15 men go under the course record. And Dathan Ritzenhein here on our screen just wiped out, an all-out effort by him. Beautiful race.
We saw the same thing last year. This is pretty much a repeat of last year. He finishes the race and he goes looking for turf.
And next year he'll be heading to the University of Colorado, where he'll be coached by Mark Wetmore and join the 1998 Foot Locker champion George Torres.
Quick look at the results, and we finally drag Dathan to his feet. Tell me the difference between the feelings of winning last year and the feelings of winning this year. Last year, a tad of a surprise. This year, no surprise at all. But how does it feel to you?
It's just as great as the first time. I mean, I've never felt anything like this at Foot Locker, and Adidas put on such a big meet. It feels like the Olympics or something. And to win it with these great guys in the comeback of distance running, and I think that it just feels awesome.
With their hearts their strongest muscles, they run with the passion, dedication, and desire of champions to fashion one of the most compelling and emotional of all foot races. Now for Dina Drawson, I'm Tony Revis. Thanks for joining us at the 2000 Foot Locker Cross Country Championships. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.